Well, we knew the third one was coming, and I read the script. The last few pages were withheld from, I think, most everyone who read the script, so we came into it not knowing the exact ending of the film. And I started working last September on what was to be the prologue that was released in IMAX in December.
It must have been somewhere during Inception. You know, I mean, it's just, this has been an 8-year constant relationship with Chris in a funny way. So what are we doing next, Chris? Sort of thing. And of course, my questions to myself were, how are we going to go and beat what we did last time?
We wanted it to be part of the same world as the last two films, but the mood of each film has changed a bit. So the grittiness and the kind of real world feeling of it, but you know, it needed to feel like it's of a piece of the last two films. So it is a continuation in that sense.
When I read the script, I was sort of imagining certain things, which I'm not going to go into because I would give the story away. But I said to Chris, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had this chant, you know? And he sent me over a couple of words in a language. It's an existing language, but nobody seems to have worked out what it is. So, Deshe Deshe Basara means rise up. And, you know, because I couldn't use 100,000 of my closest friends, it first started off with 11 of my closest friends pretty much in this room, double tracking forever and mangling it and making it sound like it was, you know, a found tape or something.
Chris is very into every single aspect of the film, and he's the grand orchestrator of where sound effects play and where music plays and where there's silence. So we're working with him, contributing ideas and so on, but he's got the blueprint in his brain. He's constantly getting sounds from me, judging them, commenting upon them, giving me notes, and doing the same thing with music.
One of the things you need to realize on these Dark Knight movies and Inception as well, we work in a very different way than other people, where Richard and I work really closely together. There's another component in there, there's another person there, Mel Wesson, who, you know, came up with those original bat flap sounds, you know, so Richard, Mel and I were forever crossing the lines of, you know, what sound effects and what is music.
I love working with Hans because he approaches music in a similar way to the way I approach sound effects, in that everything is music to him. All sound is music.
Everybody's mission on this movie has been to immerse the audience. The music is written on purpose in a way that all it does is it doesn't tell you what to feel. It just tells you, it just opens the door for you to come and enter into this world. That's all I'm trying to do is come on in, be part of our world.
I read the description of the bat in the script and then saw some early renderings of it and drawings of it. So I started to think about how it might sound and started with helicopters. And then Ken Johnson had a great idea of using a weed whacker and taking the end off and putting different things on the end to spin them and then process those sounds. And that became a big element of the bat. And then the bat's composed of several different categories or food groups or types of sounds. We basically boiled it down to roughly 5 groups of different kinds of sounds. Each group is composed of lots of individual sounds that are merged together, but here's the basic 5 food groups.
analog is, there's something fabulous about it. So what I did is I dragged out all the best modules I had on my 40-year-old modular, and had a chap in Berlin build basically digital controllers for this thing, and that thing that is sitting over there is what became the sound. There is something when you plug in, all those Moog oscillators. Something really cool happens.
Why didn't you just kill me?
Your punishment must be more severe.
I think when you cover someone's mouth, it makes them harder to understand. You can't read their lips, and Tom Hardy does an amazing job of emoting with his eyes, and his body language is impressive. And we had to exaggerate the clarity of Bane's voice to overcome the fact that his mouth is covered. We kept the voice pretty natural. I mean, Tom Hardy does that accent, he does that voice, and it kind of came out of him much like it sounded in the film. We didn't monkey around with it a lot. We tried in the beginning. We experimented with fluid through tubes and breathing and gaseous kind of additions to his voice, but it all made it even more unclear. So we pulled all that stuff out and just worked on the voice, making it as understandable as possible.
I started making music with computers in the late 70s. When you had to go and actually write in code and stuff like this. And when you write on paper, you're basically writing an instruction manual for other people to perform. When you're writing in the computer, or the way I do, is you perform every note. At one point or the other, every note that is in the score has been played by me and been fiddled around with by me. So it takes a lot longer. The technology doesn't make things faster, it makes it slower, if anything, because it opens up endless possibilities. Plus you have to learn how to deal with it, so it doesn't drive you.
I've had the good fortune to work with pretty much the same crew on all of Chris's films, and that's created a terrific shorthand and just, ease of working with everyone. Everyone contributes a lot, so it really is a group effort.
The word fun is too trivial to use, but it's such a great experience, this journey, 8 years of our life. So you don't want it to end, and when I was a kid growing up in Germany, I had this dream of becoming a film composer, but you can't ever say that. You're like in nowhere Germany, and if you say the word Hollywood, all the other kids are either going to beat you up or laugh at you, right? But in this dream, there was this unmade movie, and I didn't know what the movie was. And halfway through this one, I suddenly realized I was working on the movie that I always hoped I was working on. And I was working with the team and with the director and the sound crew that I imagined was the best you could possibly ever have in life. And I actually said to Chris, so now the problem is, what do I have to look forward to?